Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Charlene Aaron.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. The United States is increasing its commitment to rescue those Nigerian schoolgirls. Our country is deploying 80 military personnel to Africa to help find the 275 girls kidnapped by the Islamic terrorist group Boko Haram. Meanwhile, the U.S. lawmakers are pressing the Obama administration to do even more to bring the girls home. Mark Martin has the story.
A young Nigerian girl tells a heart-wrenching story to the House Foreign Affairs panel about a Boko Haram attack on her family home.
They shoot my dad in his chest 3 times, so my dad he thought that started moving. So my brother was in shock, start yelling at them that, what did my dad do to you? Why do you kill my dad?
Deborah Peters says several members of the group came to their door and demanded the father renounce his Christian faith. The survivor says they did not stop there.
They shoot my brother twice, and when they shoot my brother, that's when my dad died, and then my brother fell, and he was moving. They shot in his mouth, then he died.
We care about Deborah, her friends and family. We care about a girl's right to an education. We care about human rights and religious liberty and the future of Africa's largest country.
Deborah is a native of the town where the nearly 300 schoolgirls were kidnapped. To help the rescue effort, the Obama administration is sending some 80 military personnel and an unarmed Predator aircraft to neighboring Chad. The mostly Air Force personnel will fly and monitor reconnaissance aircraft and also provide ground security. In a letter to U.S. lawmakers, President Obama said the U.S. will remain there until our support is no longer needed to bring the girls home. A senior defense official says the mission is not to get Boko Haram, but to get the girls. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Chinese authorities believe radical Muslims are behind a recent attack in the northwest province of Xinjiang. At least 31 people are dead and more than 90 wounded, according to China's state-run news. Attackers drove off-road vehicles through a busy open-air street market in the city of Urumqi, throwing explosives into the crowds before crashing head-on. The attack is the region's latest one in a series of violent acts. Officials suspect a Muslim separatist group is behind those attacks.
After 3 weeks of silence, President Obama promises to get to the bottom of the growing crisis in veterans' health care. But some vets and their families say it's too little and too late. The president summoned Veterans Affairs Secretary Eric Shinseki to a White House meeting Wednesday to discuss the 26 VA facilities under investigation. He then held a news conference but stopped short of firing anyone until several questions are answered, including who cooked the books and who covered it up.
It is dishonorable. It is disgraceful, and I will not tolerate it, period.
The American Legion calls the president's decision to keep Shinseki an unfortunate one. Meanwhile, the Senate is set to consider a bill giving the secretary more authority to fire or demote senior agency executives.
The House is taking a step to curb the NSA's collection of every American's phone records. The bill is called the USA Freedom Act. It reorganizes the most controversial program exposed by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden. The bill would stop the NSA from collecting the phone records of Americans, but it would still order the phone companies to keep that information for 18 months so the NSA can search it for terrorist threats. President Obama supports the measure. Opponents say the bill does not actually end the bulk collection of Americans' private information.
Well, if the midterm elections were held today, the majority of Americans would vote Republican. A new poll from Politico shows 41% say they would choose a Republican candidate for the House of Representatives or U.S. Senate. 34% say they would vote for a Democrat, and 25% say they still don't know. This coming election is crucial for Republicans as they try to gain control of the Senate from Democrats.
Well, this week's primary elections indicate GOP voters prefer establishment Republicans to Tea Party candidates. Voters in 6 states elected their midterm candidates Tuesday. The result is Tea Party favorites didn't do very well against more traditional Republicans. Gary Lane has details.
It was a crushing primary day of defeat for Tea Party candidates. The biggest news of the night, the Tea Party's inability to defeat Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Early primary totals showed McConnell beat challenger Matt Bevin 60 to 35%. Bevin campaigned hard against Obamacare and said McConnell wasn't conservative enough for Kentucky Republicans. At his victory party Tuesday night, McConnell said it's time for Republicans to unite to oust Harry Reid and the Democrats from their Senate majority.
Put this son of the Commonwealth in charge of the Senate, and I will take this crowd to task. I'll do everything I can to repeal and replace Obamacare.
McConnell will face Democrat Allison Grimes in the fall. She's Kentucky's Secretary of State, a friend of Bill and Hillary Clinton. Republicans are hoping that Clinton's influence will be just as ineffective in that Senate race as it was in Pennsylvania's Democratic primary. The former president and his wife backed their in-law, Marjorie Margolis, in her failed bid to win back a congressional seat. Also in Pennsylvania, Democrats elected a millionaire businessman, Tom Wolf, to run against Republican Governor Tom Corbett. In Arkansas, Democrats elected former Congressman Mike Ross as their nominee for governor. Ross says he left Washington because he was tired of partisan politics. He's the son of public educators and says if elected, he'll make education a top priority for his state.
The future of our state depends greatly on education. I understand that, and that's why I want to be the education governor.
Ross will face Republican Asa Hutchinson in the fall. The Tea Party came up short by double digits in an Idaho congressional race, and in Georgia, their candidate for Senate placed third. Also in Oregon, a pediatric neurosurgeon will be the Republican nominee for the Senate. Dr. Monica Webby defeated a Tea Party challenger and will face Democratic incumbent Jeff Merkley in November. The political novice is expected to make health care a top campaign issue, because Merkley has been an enthusiastic Obamacare supporter. Republicans have not won statewide election in Oregon since 2002. Gary Lane, CBN News.
New York City police arrested at least 70 people for making and trading child pornography over the internet. Those charged include Little League coaches, a rabbi, a paramedic, a police officer, a nurse, and a Boy Scout leader.
This operation puts the lie to the classic stereotypical profile that child predators are nothing more than unemployed drifters. Many of the defendants are, in fact, well-educated and successful in their private and professional lives.
The 5-week investigation led to one of the largest roundups ever of individual users of pornography. Agents are still examining the hundreds of devices confiscated, which could result in even more arrests.
In California, a woman held captive for 10 years is rescued, and her husband, the accused kidnapper, is under arrest. Police say 41-year-old Isidro Garcia of Bell Gardens drugged and kidnapped his girlfriend's 15-year-old daughter in 2004. He allegedly raped the girl and beat her as she tried to escape. Police say he later forced the girl to marry him and even had a baby with her. The woman, who is now 25, contacted police after finding her sister on Facebook. Authorities say she stayed with Garcia out of fear and sustained years of physical and mental abuse. Garcia has been arrested on suspicion of kidnapping for rape and false imprisonment. Neighbors are stunned, saying the couple appeared to live a happy, normal life.
It's just devastating to know that such a person could live right at your doorstep.
Well, it happens. You just never think it. You know, in your own neighborhood, you know, this close, especially that we live by the police department.
The woman is now reunited with her family.
2 Christian colleges have won a temporary victory in their fight against the birth control mandate in Obamacare. A federal judge ruled that Dordt College in Iowa and Cornerstone University in Michigan do not have to comply with the mandate for now. The mandate requires employers to provide birth control coverage to employees, even coverage for abortion-related drugs. The schools argue the mandate violates their religious freedoms.
Coming up, see how nature is making a mockery of global warming.
The American Bible Challenge is back. Premiering May 22nd at 8/7 Central, Jeff Foxworthy is ready to play.
The whole family's gonna love it.
Kurt Franklin's gonna sway.
Are you ready?
And you'll see the Bible in a whole new way.
Don't I look chic?
That was impressive. An all-new season premieres Thursday, May 22nd at 8, 7 Central, only on Game Show Network.
Pat Boone here with some good news you can trust. Today, our faith, families, and our freedoms are under attack. Polls say 2 out of 3 Americans no longer trust government. A stalled economy, weakening dollar, and politicians willing to steal money from our children to waste on unfixable problems. So, whom can you trust? Well, our money still says in God we trust. But do we? Or have we quietly allowed the things we hold sacred to be stolen by the enemies of traditional values? Today, our government spends almost twice its income, running up a tab for future generations into the hundreds of trillions. How can you stop this from happening to your family? Well, it's all covered in a fantastic new book, The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Dr. Lowell Ponte. Every American needs to read this book. Why don't you call now for a free copy of The Great Withdrawal? It's the simple truth you can trust.
The American Bible Challenge is back. Premiering May 22nd at 8, 7 Central. Jeff Foxworthy is ready to play.
The whole family's gonna love it.
Kurt Franklin's gonna sway.
Are you ready?
And you'll see the Bible in a whole new way.
Don't I look chic?
That was impressive. An all-new season premieres Thursday, May 22nd at 8, 7 Central, only on Game Show Network.
Wild weather is sweeping across the country this week. In Colorado yesterday, more than 1 inch of giant hail, so much that in some areas it had to be shoveled or even plowed. That hail was accompanied by strong winds that prompted reports of tornadoes, 8 of them, shutting down Denver International Airport for several hours. Thunderstorms drenched parts of the Midwest with flash flooding, closing down highways in Ohio and Pennsylvania. And today, the Plain States and parts of the Tennessee Valley and the East Coast are expecting even more severe weather.
Well, is the wild weather proof of climate change? Climate change supporters have spent years warning that global warming is threatening life on Earth. There's just one problem with that. The Earth isn't getting warmer.
In fact, the sun is showing signs we are headed for something very different, global cooling. Dale Hurd has this report now from Copenhagen.
The climate is not getting warmer and seems to be getting much colder. The climate is changing, but it's not changing the way the climate change crowd told us it would change. Nature has made a mockery of global warming. So who are the real climate deniers? The ice is not only growing in the South Pole, but in the North Pole. And the coldest Arctic temperatures in decades have descended upon North America. But this inconvenient truth didn't stop Greenpeace from trying to scare children last month with a video of a sweaty, beleaguered Santa Claus threatening to call off Christmas because the North Pole is melting.
Dear children, regrettably, I bring bad tidings. Melting ice here. The North Pole has made our operations intolerable and impossible. And there may be no alternative but to cancel Christmas.
Cheer up, Santa. Arctic ice is growing, but that may not be the good news that it seems to be, because there are signs the Earth could be entering a very unpleasant cooling period. Sunspot activity remains very low.
The sun has been very unusual for almost 15 years now.
Senior scientist Jens Pedersen at Denmark's Technical University says the sun recently reached solar maximum, and there should be a lot of sunspot activity. But there isn't.
There would normally have been maybe twice or 3 times as many sunspots as we have seen this year. We have to go back more than 100 years to find a similar solar maximum which has been so weak as the one we are in right now.
The last time the sun was this quiet, from the 1600s to the 1800s, North America and Europe suffered through a weather event known as Little Ice Age, when the Thames River in London regularly froze solid and colonial America saw terrible winters. Crops failed and people starved. Pedersen says climate scientists know the Earth stopped warming 15 years ago. But the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, of which Peterson is a member, suppressed a recent finding by its own scientists that the UN's climate model has been proven wrong.
And then they change also part of what the scientists have written. And in particular, one of the issues has been why global warming has stopped during the last 15 years. And the scientists were very frank about that this is a problem, that climate models do not match with the climate we observe.
Politicians removed that important piece of good news from the final draft. It's as if the imminent danger from climate change can't be wrong, because it's now too important. It's become a political movement, a cash cow for climate scientists and environmental groups, and some say a way for world leaders to control economics and people.
This is absolutely a political agenda.
Dan Gaynor of the Media Research Center.
When you look at what the government will be able to do with climate change, it gives them entree into literally every aspect of our lives.
Yeah, I call it climatism.
Steve Gorham is the author of The Mad, Mad, Mad World of Climatism.
It has become a path for global change across the world for adopting green economies and electric cars and putting wind turbines everywhere and changing light bulbs.
And it doesn't matter how badly the climate change prophets of doom get it wrong. Al Gore said all the ice in the Arctic would be melted by now. It's growing. Others predicted a shrinking food supply and flooded coastlines. Hurricane Sandy and Typhoon Haiyan are said to be because of climate change. But that ignores the fact that the worst tropical cyclones in modern times occurred in the 1960s. The climate change agenda is going forward anyway. The world is already spending at least $250 billion a year on it. Environmentalists want more. Activists are demanding what they call climate justice from developed nations.
What they really want to do is dump trillions into it. They want to get somewhere between 1% and 3% of global GDP. I mean, the amount's staggering amount of money.
Climate change skeptics have been censored and compared to Holocaust deniers and even child molesters. But forgotten in the effort to save the world from warming is the effect on the world's poor. Gorham says more than 1 billion people do not have access to electricity, and almost as many struggle with unreliable power. Cheap electricity from coal would be a savior for the world's poor, but the world's wealthy nations don't want them to have it. All in the name of saving the planet from a crisis that mounting evidence suggests is non-existent. Dale Hurd, CBN News, Copenhagen.
Up next, from ex-cons to newborns, why the sense of touch is more important than any other.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans. with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right. You could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Welcome back to CBN News Today. Decades of research has shown that human touch is essential for babies to develop and thrive.
And more recent research shows that it's just as vital for adults as it is for newborns. Caitlin Burke has more on the science behind the sense of touch.
Thursday night Bible study in Skagit County, Washington sounds like your normal men's prayer meeting. The laying of hands isn't unusual, but it took these men some time to be comfortable receiving God's love through touch. Chris Hoke met most of them as chaplain of the county jail.
In the jail, guys don't touch. And on the streets they wouldn't. I think the only place they'd have it is just an over-sexualized sense of touch with girlfriends.
Julio was one of those inmates.
A lot of times there's guys that they're scared of being touched because they need to put up a front with that tough guy role. And when some stranger comes in and tells you he loves you and he gives you a hug, it's something you're not used to. It's a feeling that you feel that somebody cares about you.
It was surprising how much guys wanted a hug right when they came through that door. Just boom, they'd want a hug. And some guys would say, sometimes I come just to get my fix. I saw how much there's a hunger there for it, if it's healthy.
If you want to hold it.
So why this hunger for touch? According to neuroscientists, our brains are programmed for touch.
There is a whole array of compounds that play together in order to allow touch and social interactions to affect our brain. This is the hypothalamus right here.
The hypothalamus area of the brain produces oxytocin, which is released upon positive touch. That compound can reduce fear and increase trust.
For many of these men, positive touch played a huge role in their healing and growth. But then one day the jail instituted a no-contact rule. Inmates were allowed only what they called a business handshake, and chaplains were told to reject anything else. How did that loss of touch start to affect the inmates?
At first, to me, it seemed like the guys almost became more violent. It seemed to me, especially in those first few weeks, that more fights were breaking out, as if they were swinging for some kind of contact.
Dr. Aravich is not surprised at this reaction.
The lack of touching causes all kinds of changes in brain development and brain organization.
In the mid-1900s, Dr. Harry Harlow found this in experiments where he deprived monkeys of physical contact from birth. The results were heartbreaking.
If you take a social creature and isolate it and look at a part of the brain called the hippocampal formation, psychosocial deprivation actually causes a physical injury to that particular part of the brain. Our brains were designed to be with other brains.
Research shows the first sense developed in the womb is touch, as early as 8 weeks, highlighting the need for proper touch from day one. At Centera Princess Anne Hospital in Virginia Beach, new mother Rebecca chose to participate in an increasingly popular practice called skin to skin.
For skin to skin, immediately after birth, we try to have the baby go directly onto the mom's abdomen, so the mom immediately gets to hold and feel her baby.
40 years of research shows this contact leads to many benefits for babies and their mothers.
How did it feel when you first got to hold him skin to skin?
It was an indescribable feeling. As soon as they put him skin to skin, that bond was there.
That secure bond gives baby Bryce a foundation that can help him throughout life, from academics to sports. In sports, trust between teammates is critical. So if positive touch creates trust, how could that help a team's performance? To find the answer, scientists left the lab and headed to the basketball court. Researchers at the University of California at Berkeley studied basketball teams over a complete season. After determining 12 types of positive touch between teammates during gameplay, they detailed the occurrence and duration of each one. Their results showed the touchier players in teams actually performed better than their counterparts. At the Bible study, these former inmates, who could only rely on themselves in prison, now learn to count on others. Chaplain Chris Hoke credits that to Jesus and how he's touched these men's lives.
I think that's what God came to do, is to touch us. Jesus crossed such a span between us so that we could be one. And so I think the touch is just the beginning of that, of a love story.
I feel like there's intimacy with Jesus when two men are touching each other and praying for each other. You can feel the energy when someone is putting their hands on you, praying for you. You can feel the power of Christ going through that person's hands and going into your body.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Very informative story. The power of touch.
I tell you.
It's amazing.
We can all use a hug for sure.
Amen. Or a high five
You
here
got
and there.
that right. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
Do you have an idea for an invention or a new product? Brian and Alice Jagosh, the inventors of the halftime drill driver, did. They invented a power drill attachment that lets you drill, flip, and drive in seconds. Brian and Alice licensed their invention to the company that brought you the Snuggie, and it's now selling in major retailers nationwide. Look for the Invent Help Caveman on the package. If you have an invention that you would like to try to patent and submit to companies for possible review and want free information on how Invent Help may be able to assist you, call now. Invent Help is America's largest inventor service company with sales offices in more than 60 cities nationwide. Call Invent Help today for free information. Our clients made a financial gain with their invention, but this is just their individual result. Brian and Alice's experience is not typical, as only a very small number of inventions are licensed or sold in stores.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-559-8567. That's 1-800-559-8567.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
A 14-year-old boy plans to carry his 7-year-old brother about 40 miles over the course of 2 days.
The reason? To raise public awareness of cerebral palsy. Hunter Gandy is a wrestler and football player. His biggest fan is his little brother, Braden, who was born with cerebral palsy. Come June, Hunter will walk 40 miles carrying Braden on his back. It's a 2-day trek.
He's my biggest fan, my biggest supporter while I'm on the mat. When I'm wrestling, he's down on the mat cheering me on. He's the one I can hear the loudest.
Go down to the mat and cheer him on.
Yeah, what do you say?
Let's go, Superman. Let's go, Superman. Let's go, Superman.
Awesome. Well, both boys want to grow up and study biomedical engineering and neurology. It's amazing that his biggest fan is his little brother, and he's going to do something for him.
Very nice.
Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for now on CBN News Today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
Tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. See you tomorrow.
Inside every child is a hero, a leader, a friend to others, someone who helps out, who does the right thing, who dreams of what they can be, but they still need our help.
What should I do? What should I say? How should I feel?
That's where Superbook comes in. It provides moral and spiritual truths through situations children can relate to, teaching God's Word to the children you love. Join the Superbook DVD Club and receive Superbook's newest episodes as they're available, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. Get Superbook today and watch the miracles happen.
Every day, people are connecting on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Now you can be part of the conversation and connect on topics you care about through 700 Club Interactive. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, or go to YouTube and share your opinions, your prayer requests, and your videos while making friends in our community.
Well, welcome to the show.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. 700 Club Interactive. Be a part of the show.